Hello guys, as I record this video, explosions rock Moscow, the capital of the Russian Federation. More flights cancelled, more airports closed, but most importantly, more and more Russians come to realize that not just Putin's special military operation failed in Ukraine, he also invited war back to Russia. First to dozens of its bordering with Ukraine regions, but now to its capitals, Moscow and St. Petersburg. It's no more a surprise to read about air raid alerts there, about the destroyed military targets next to these cities, and that demonstrates both the vulnerability of the Russian air defense, because come on, we can reach their capital without any problems. But it also demonstrates that there are no red lines. The evil in the Kremlin must be defeated, and that's the only working peace plan. Interesting details have emerged about yesterday's attack on Crimea FSB summer house. It was full of very important Russian army guests and some collaborators with the occupants' regime. So let's discuss how we keep demilitarizing Russia from its capital to the temporarily occupied lands that will soon be liberated from the invaders. Trust me, I'm a Ukrainian. My name is Anna. I'm from Ukraine. I'm in Ukraine. And if you want to see Putin in The Hague, subscribe. I'm sure we will discuss that straight from The Hague sometime really soon. So let's begin with beautiful weather forecast from Moscow. Lots of drones raining on the capital of the Russian Federation, on the region around the capital, and that is definitely a demonstration of Russia's weakness, total inability to protect its airspace, and that there are no red lines. I remember how at the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the Kremlin warned that any strike on the temporarily occupied territories which Russia considered its own would be treated as a nuclear threat. And look at us now. Not only we liberated the aquatorium of the Black Sea from the Russian fleet, but we also target military facilities, arsenals, production sites in Moscow, in St. Petersburg. Dozens of their oil refineries keep detonating for weeks, and there are no red lines, because Russia is a classical bully that keeps threatening the world, just testing how afraid are you. And if you demonstrate this weakness, if you demonstrate this fear, they will continue. Recent Russian provocations against the NATO countries clearly demonstrate this kind of approach. But when they witness strength, when they witness courage, they retreat. That's exactly what they did in Kyiv, Kherson, Kharkiv regions. We witnessed that. And please remember, when talking about Russian war in Ukraine, that during the last 1,000 days, that is 3 years almost, Russia managed to take 1% of the Ukrainian territory, and I won't remind you how many soldiers they lost, because YouTube is too sensitive to these issues. So as I record this video, the Kremlin continues hunting on Ukrainian drones, but it had to stop the work of its airports. It had to cancel dozens, if not hundreds of flights, and that is a powerful message to oligarchs that all live in Moscow, to Putin's mafia friends that believed he was a strong leader. And in reality, he is a bully that brought more and more problems to strategic areas of the Russian life. The oil refining industry, that is super important business for lots of oligarchs, they are losing it. The ability to travel the world, they are losing it. Aeroflot totally destroyed, both with sanctions, with this blitzkrieg that failed, and now with Ukrainian drones. That's not what his friends wanted. We're not talking about justice. We're not talking about democracy. They are not used to that. We're talking about comfort, and Putin took that all away from his oligarch friends. Don't be surprised if that will change really quickly. When we all observed this Prigozhin's march to Moscow, if you remember that, there were not many people, armies, regions trying to stop Prigozhin. He did it himself, we don't know the reasons, but you did not see a lot of people protecting Putin, right? Subscribe to witness his collapse, and please share these videos to spread the truth and protect others from the Russian lies. So, interesting things also happened last night in Crimea. I've introduced you to the achievements of the Ukrainian Neptune missile there, where we destroyed 3 Mi-8 combat helicopters, $100 million radar system Nebo-U. But it turned out that one more important target was demilitarized, and that is the so-called FSB summer house, like FSB summer house. That was a former summer house of various communist leaders, including Gorbachev. On one of such dachas, if you know the word, he stuck during the collapse of the USSR, and Putin also loved visiting these places. We know he had to escape from Sochi, perhaps his favorite residence, and all after frequent visits of the Ukrainian drones to the area. And now important things happen to this FSB location. Many people say that between Foros and between Yalta, these are resorts in Crimea, there were 4 of such summer houses that were previously used by communist leaders, then by Russian politicians or pro-Russian politicians, and finally by the occupying forces, by the FSB. And on one of such sites, there was a meeting of Russian military who often come to Crimea, first because they enjoy the nature. And this beautiful peninsula was designed by God to be a resort, to be a beautiful traveling destination, not a rusty Russian military base. And believe me, after we defeat this evil, you will all be invited and you will definitely like it there. But right now it's full of the Russian invaders, it's full of FSB agents, but some of them were demilitarized last night. And rumors say that one of the collaborators, the so-called head of Kherson occupied territories regional administration, Saldo, was also among the neutralized. If it turns out to be true, this will be super demoralizing for the Russian invaders and for those so-called authorities installed by the Kremlin on the temporarily occupied territories, because it demonstrates that justice will be served to all such traitors. People, please do not forget that apart from freedom, apart from health, apart from love, or maybe even money, justice is very important. With justice in your heart, in your city, in your country, it's easier to live true life. And when some people offer Ukraine, give up the land, do whatever Putin says, and believe it will end. No, this opens a Pandora box of problems for many countries. For many countries, even across the beautiful ocean. Justice is precious, and that's exactly what we are doing when we are targeting legitimate military facilities, arsenals, drone production factories in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in Tatarstan, in Bashkortostan, in regions that previously seemed unreachable, in regions that Russia claimed to be invincible. When just a war ago, they described themselves as the strongest army in the world. Could you imagine hundreds of Ukrainian drones targeting its regions to demilitarize and defeat the evil, reaching the capital? Just for a second, before undermining the importance of such attacks, imagine something similar happening to the capitals of your countries. Would you think about that? Would you talk about that? Would it be on the news? Once again, I don't wish it, but it's always good to imagine a similar situation, and how would you feel? And in Moscow and in Russia, they pretend that everything is okay, that everything goes according to the plan. And part of this plan was actually to, close the airports, to cancel the flight, to destroy Russian aviation, to destroy Russian refining industry, to destroy Russian Gazprom, Lukoil, and all the businesses. Of course, it's not that. Russia can and will be defeated. Please subscribe, follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, all the links in the description of this video, same as the link to our merch shop. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!